Yo, what's going on, fellas? So, as of recording this, Season 4 of Diablo 2 Resurrected launches today. And with Diablo 4 launching in just a few weeks, I figure there's going to be a lot of people returning to Diablo 2 Resurrected, whether you played as a kid and you're just trying to get your demon slaying fix in before Diablo 4 launches, or with people maybe playing right at launch and coming back to D2R right now. So, I'm bringing you today my biggest tips for the playthrough of Diablo 2 Resurrected for Season 4. Now, the first one up here is probably one of the most slept on, in my opinion, but all throughout the game, normal, nightmare, and hell, you can actually buy incredibly useful items straight from vendors. Now, in normal difficulty, if you're looking for rune word bases for specific rune words like lore and like stealth, editor fill, go ahead and slide those in case people don't know exactly what I'm talking about here. You can buy the bases for those straight from Charcy over here. We're looking at these armors right here. None of these happen to roll with 2 open sockets, but you can leave the game and come back, or leave town and come back if you're in a game solo by yourself, and it'll re-roll the inventory, and you can hopefully get a 2-socket one that way in no time, really. A couple of re-rolls of it, you'll probably get one. Over here on the helmet, here we go. We got a 2-socketed helm right here. You can go ahead and make your lore in if you wanted to. Another runeword base easy to shop is over here at Akara in Act 1 in normal, and you can go ahead and look at the staffs here and look for a 2-socketed staff. Boom, right there. And you can make a leaf staff in. Now that has 3 to fire skills. And remember, those 3 to fire skills work for any fire skills. So fire druid, fire trap assassin, whatever fire skills they are, those 3 fire skills will help you out. Now, while you're over here, I usually, especially if a necromancer, you can go ahead and shop and buy something like, boom, 2 to teeth. And this one even has mana after kill. That's pretty sick incredibly early on. Now, also, if you are a sorceress and maybe you want some more FCR, you can buy wands over here that have FCR. Sometimes I will keep this type of stuff on swap. Even later on, if I'm teleporting around with a sorceress, that way you can get 10, 20% faster cast rate on switch. And then when you're attacking, switch over to the orb or whatever you have that has more skills on it to increase your damage. Talking about shopping from Akara, we're going to speak of that again later on, because in hell difficulty, you might want to go ahead and visit her again. But for now, we're jumping to Act 2 of normal, still shopping from vendors. And we're at Farah right here in, like I said, Act 2 of normal. First of all, this belt right here, as soon as you get to Act 2 of normal, go ahead and buy one. You see there are 8 slots, so you actually get an extra row of potions. And potions, you're just chugging them early on in the game. So make sure you get one of these belts right here. It's just called belt. Also, on top of that, if you want to make yourself a Ancient's Pledge later, you can go ahead and shop them right here. Now, there's only 2 of them, so it can take you a little bit of time to shop them, leaving town and coming back, or leaving the game and coming back. But you can get 3 open sockets on this shield right here, a perfect base for your Ancient's Pledge. Now, next up, very important one, could be the most important one to get for a playthrough, especially if you're playing through solo kind of by yourself, and that is head over to Ormus. This is Act 3 of normal, but from Act 3 normal and later, you can go ahead and shop yourself a tele staff from any vendor that sells these staffs. Now, what you want to do is go through here and you look for something that has, boom, teleport charges on it. Teleport is by far the most powerful skill in the entire game. Being able to jump walls, being able to jump past giant packs of monsters that are perhaps completely immune to you, or just to move around faster, you can use the charges to teleport into the Chaos Sanctuary or something along those lines. So if you're not a sorceress, make sure you get yourself a teleport staff. Now, this one is incredibly expensive, but you can find these a lot cheaper, especially if you're early on. This one has chain lightning skills on it. That's going to bump up the price a ton. You can tend to shop these if you are in the mid-20s or around like 20 or 30,000 gold. I can't remember exactly, but it's somewhere around there. Now, next up, we are in hell difficulty, but this is the most slept on aspect, in my opinion, for the playthrough. And you can do it in any difficulty, and that's just shopping different types of items from really any vendor. You could look at, well, this shield right here, 14 to all res. You can just go ahead and buy it for 8k gold, which is essentially nothing. You can find things like gloves. This one's got dex, armor stuff. Usually at the armor slot, you're going to be using a stealth or something else like that, but you can get some walk run on some boots. Like on this shield, you can get resistance on the boots, resistance on the gloves. You can shop things like belts from other vendors. So don't sleep on just checking a vendor real quick, seeing maybe you can get something with like 38 lightning res and 20 to life or something on a belt. That could be the best possible thing you could have found up until that point. And here's some things, just for example, perhaps you're looking for Magic Find gear, and I did not hunt around for this at all. Here's some 20 Magic Find gloves right here from Farah in Act 2 of Hell. Here's some 25 Magic Find boots from Farah, Act 2 of Hell difficulty. 30% faster walk-run boots, and I mean, if you're having any problems with stamina, 84% slower stamina drain and more stamina, so your running is going to be perfectly fine, A-OK. There's resistances on a belt. You can even get stuff with life leech on the gloves for those melee characters. So yeah, 23 to strength on a belt. Oof. Do not sleep on just shopping to fill those weak slots on your character. Now here we are over at Hell Akara, and I mentioned it earlier. This is another thing that you're going to want to buy. It's another thing with charges on it. Now, if you're a caster, you're going to want to look through these here, and you can find ones that have lower resistance charges on them. Make sure it's not the lower res skills, lower res charges. These ones do not. I'll fly one in so you can see exactly what it looks like. This is going to boost up the damage a ton for any caster. So whether you're fighting an act boss, or if you're trying to take out Declone later, or the Ubers with a caster, this is almost mandatory. It's going to bump up that damage and make the kill way easier. Also from over here too, I didn't see any a second ago, but you can buy life tap wands, which is going to be a necessity for taking out Ubers and stuff with a budget character or taking out Declone. Remember, don't buy one like this that have the life tap skill. It has to be life tap charges. It's essentially like life leech, but crazy on steroids. As long as you're constantly attacking, you pretty much aren't going to die if you have that cast on a monster. So that was a pretty long section, but we're going to jump into some other just tips on getting past certain parts of the game. Now, if there's monsters in the game that are immune to you, I'm going to show you the easiest way to complete that section. We're just going to go to the Frigid Highlands, for example. Let's say you're a Blizzard Sorceress. These guys are immune to cold. How do you get past them? Let me show you. Yeah, just if something's immune to you, just run past it. If you're a sorceress, it gets even easier. Just teleport past it. Whoops, glitched out of the map. No big deal. But yeah, just teleport past anything that you don't want to fight. If you're a sorceress, if you're not a sorceress, run past them or grab that teleport staff like I mentioned earlier and teleport out of their range until they stop aggroing you. It really is kind of that simple. Now, kind of for a proof of concept of that, like think about it. There's really only like 15 monsters in the entire game that you actually have to kill. Andariel, Duriel, Mephisto. There is one council member that will drop the hammer that you have to get. Diablo, there are the Ancients, and then there is Baal. Technically, if you're very clever at luring the monsters out of the actual throne room, you don't even technically have to kill the Baal waves. So yeah, there's like 15 monsters are the only ones required to beat each difficulty. Anything else, feel free to skip if you want. Now I'm going to give you a tip specifically for the Ancients here, because this Ancients fight can be tough, especially when you get to Hell difficulty. Now let's say hypothetically you summon the Ancients and, oh no, all 3 of them or 2 of them or whatever are immune to whatever you are. Well, if you don't like their immunities, boop, go ahead and pop a town portal and just re-roll them. In that instance, it's not worth the fight if they're all immune to you. Pop that portal, re-roll them, and hopefully you'll get a better roll on the immunities the next time. If not, go ahead and pop another portal. On top of that, one thing that you can do is go ahead and shop and fill your inventory up with potions and go ahead and chuck them all on the ground. This is just an example here, but then you can go back to town, shop more potions from Mala, and head back out there. So then you'll have an entire ground completely full of potions that you then can fight when you run out of potions. Come over here, boop, 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 pick up a whole bunch of them, run away, and then you can come back and pick up more or whatever. Now, these potions don't literally last forever, so don't expect these to be here 45 minutes from now, but you can definitely load up on even more potions than you think you need just to play it safe. Now we'll go for a little tip specifically if you struggle at all with Andariel, which Andariel is pretty easy, and Duriel, which actually Duriel is probably one of the hardest act bosses in the entire game. Now, first of all, we'll talk about Andariel. You know, she probably sends out those poison clouds and that poison spear. You can see right here, my poison res is 53. Yours might be quite a bit lower, but you can actually get your res up with just going over and shopping antidote potions from Akara or any of the vendors in the game that sell these antidote potions. Now go ahead and watch the poison resistance right there. I'll drink this potion. It went up to 85. These give you an increase of poison resistance, along with eliminating if you have the poison effect on you. Now, this lasts for 30 seconds, I believe it is. So before you go do the anti-fight, you could chug 5, 10, however many you really wanted to, in order to keep that resistance up, because that 30 seconds does stack. So if you take 2 of them, it'll be a minute. If you take 4 of them, 2 minutes, etc., etc. Now you can go ahead and do the same thing with cold, and that is with the thawing potion. See right here, we're at 36. We'll go ahead and chug that. Boom. It jumps up to 85, and you see the poison actually went away already, the benefit from that. But the cold is up here. Duriel has a frozen aura, which will deal cold damage to you. So chugging a bunch of these thawing potions before going and fighting Duriel will definitely help you out. Now, there is a little top secret trick here that I'm going to tell you that I've never told anyone before. Actually, if you run up these stairs and right here, you hit this like button and you hit this subscribe button, it actually gives you a 1000% better chance of finding high runes in Diablo 2 Resurrected. Well, maybe it doesn't, but at least it helps on my channel a little bit, please. Next one is, don't forget before you go down to fight Duriel, and Duriel is probably the hardest boss in the game, actually. Go ahead and pop a portal up here. That way, if you jump down and you do by some chance die, you're going to have a safe way to get down there. It always stinks if you die right next to the portal and you can't even get through safely. At least this way, you can hop down, you can run around, and maybe you'll die over here. But when you come back through the portal, you'll jump down through here, giving you a chance to at least run for safety. Now, next up, you see I'm taking out Baal's waves right here. Now, remember, I said you don't even have to kill all these monsters on the waves in order to beat it. This works best for wave 4 and 5 because they're fast and they can be very strong. So what you can do is go ahead and actually lure. You can run or teleport back and forth trying to lure them until you lure them out of the throne room. Once you get them out of the throne room and then you get back in the throne room, it will go ahead and reset, and it'll be the end of that wave. There's Baal laughing, and boom, the next wave is about to come down. And there is Lister's wave, and if you did it with wave 4, it can be difficult because they'll get in your way, but you can go ahead and lure Lister's wave out as well. Now, once you go ahead and get rid of all of them, it's all over. Let's go ahead and take on Baal. Little tip I like to do, you see I'm standing right up against the edge here, right up against the wall. When you do this and he does that knockback attack, it actually does not knock you back. So you just stand still, and because it doesn't knock you back, it does not stun you, which means you can continually attack without getting that temporary stun lock. So I always try to keep myself backed up against the wall. That way, you won't get stunned. Now we're going to talk about different rune words that you're going to use or want to perhaps use on the playthrough, or maybe just after the playthrough, and I figured this would be the easiest way to go over them. We're using a website you can see right up at the top here called Rune Wizard. Go ahead and you can just Google it. I'll try to remember to put a link down in the description. It's a great resource for just looking up rune words. First of all, on the playthrough, Act 1, 2 of normal, make yourself this rune word right here, stealth. Just a Tal Eth and a body armor. I said you could buy the body armor from Charcy in Act 1 of normal, but the walk, run, cast rate, hit recovery, you're pretty much going to make this early on, and you'll probably, swear to goodness, use this armor all the way through hell difficulty. It is that good. Next up, I did mention this leaf staff right here, just a tier ral in a staff. Remember, it does not work in orbs or wands, but 3 to fire skills. And then if you are a sorceress, it also has 3 to fire bolt, inferno, and warmth, along with the mana after kill. So really great for those fire caster characters. Ancient's Pledge, another great option early on for your offhand. 43 to all resistances with 5 extra to fire, lightning, and poison. So there's a great way to get your resistances up early on. Now, of course, here is the Spirit Sword, Tal Thul Ort Am. So that Spirit Sword you can make as early as right at the beginning of Nightmare. You can actually grab a sword from normal cows specifically. It will be the exact proper level in order to take over to Larzik. You use that Larzik socket quest on him that you get, and you'll get 4 sockets in that crystal sword every time. Only specifically from cows. Anywhere else, you don't know what the item level is going to be, and you could get up to 6 sockets. But the Spirit Sword, 2 to skills, cast rate, hit recovery, a bunch of crazy stuff. I'm not going to say every single thing, but it is an absolute amazing caster item. And once again, once you make this, you're going to be using this for a very long time until you get a very expensive upgrade. And then, of course, the Spirit Shield. You're probably not going to be able to make one of these until after you beat the game, but this is going to be probably the first upgrade that you go for right after finishing the game. It is best in slot essentially forever for almost every single caster. Now, an incredibly slept on shield here is Rhyme, just 2 sockets, Shale Eth. For that, you get a block rate, block chance, 25 to all res, cannot be frozen, which is very, very important to get, especially on melee characters, and you get more magic find. So if you're a one-handed melee character, if you're some sort of Zerker Barb, if you're a Zealer, don't sleep on the Rhyme Shield. Now, this is once again going to be an item that you're probably going to make kind of more of right after you finish the game, but Treachery is a sick budget armor for something like an Act 2 Mercenary. That 45% increase attack speed on body armor is insane, and it's just a Shale, a Thull, and a Lemrune. Lemrunes are kind of expensive to trade for early on because this armor is so popular. And then a go-to for almost every Act 2 Mercenary, you can easily make this on a playthrough, and that is the Insight runeword Raltir Talon Soul. Now, you can now make it in also missile weapons, so you could put this on your Act 1 Mercenary as well, but that Meditation Aura keeps your mana regenerating extra super fast. But on top of that, 200 to 260% enhanced damage is nothing to scoff at. That's probably going to be one of the best, most powerful, most enhanced damage weapons you're going to be able to get at any time. And you can make this sometime at the beginning of Nightmare difficulty. This weapon is so good. If you could, I generally stick this in a polearm as soon as I can find one and throw that on my mercenary, no matter what the base is. But do remember, polearm, not a spear. Hey, if y'all know any more tips and tricks, make sure you put them down in the comment section. I would love to hear them, and it'd also help out all the new and returning players. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe up, get that bell notification turned on before you go so you never miss any of the future videos for Diablo 2 Resurrected, and eventually the Diablo 4 videos are going to be coming out right here on my channel. Peace out, fellas. Don't forget, keep slaying.